E a gente vem trazendo aqui, ao longo das últimas semanas, como a guerra no Oriente Médio está redesenhando o mapa energético mundial. O conflito está pressionando cadeias de suprimento e revelando o peso pouco compreendido da região, não apenas no petróleo, mas também no gás, nos combustíveis refinados e em produtos industriais essenciais. Essa é a avaliação do líder global de indústria e energia da EY, o Wilkinson, que em entrevista à CNN afirmou que o Brasil surge como uma peça-chave nesse contexto, com potencial em minerais e energia limpa. Vamos ouvir.
The interesting thing is the energy markets 7 weeks ago were in a very different place to the way they are now. We had an interesting world where the world was short of gas but long on crude oil. The Gulf crisis or the Gulf conflict has created stresses that has challenged the way the energy markets think about themselves, but also the way that the world thinks about the Gulf. For example, the role that the Gulf energy markets played in the global market wasn't that well understood by many people, including those who were financing it. So this isn't about crude oil. Everybody's been quoting the crude oil price. Gas is really important. The world's largest gas reserve sits between Qatar and Iran. We've seen that with the strikes on the Ras Laffan LNG plant, just the scale of disruption, that's 20% of traded LNG that is now out of the market. But then, and this is probably one of the areas where people are starting to understand in Europe and Asia, the refining capacity in the Gulf is tremendous. What we call middle distillates, so jet fuel and diesel, many of the refineries in Europe weren't built for jet fuel and diesel. They were built in an era before the consumption of jet fuel and diesels got to where it's got to. And also many refineries have shut in Europe. So I think many people have been surprised by just the supply that's gone missing of jet fuel and diesel, both into Asia and Europe. And then I could go further, like production of helium, production of urea, many kind of core industrial feedstocks, aluminium, that are now missing from the world's supply chains. So this isn't just about energy, this is industrial products as well. I can't predict the military situation or the geopolitical. I think even as a thought experiment, let's say the Straits of Hormuz open fully this evening to free flow of traffic. If you just think about where ships are and where their cargoes are, that's going to take a long time to clear. And, our clients would tell us crude probably clears the fastest because there was oversupply. Both Saudi Arabia and the UAE have got pipelines where they've been able to get crude oil out. But in terms of those distillates, so diesel, jet fuel, petrochemicals, other industrial products, that could take up to 12 months. In the case of the LNG market, so liquid natural gas, Qatar have been very clear that it's 3 to 5 years to fix the 2 trains that have been damaged. So they have 14 trains, 2 of them are damaged, and they're looking at a 3 to 5 year fix for that. It's been well tailed that this is going to cause electricity prices to probably rise in Europe for 12 to 18 months, and that's because of the role that gas plays in setting electricity prices. What we've seen in Asia is a lot of demand destruction. So, there are 8 Asian countries now that are rationing in some capacity. And if we've seen 2 to 4% of the world's demand for hydrocarbons fall away just by some of those actions. I think necessity is often the mother of innovation. And even just our clients in the Middle East, the way that we've seen technology be deployed and even AI adopted in the last 7 weeks has been extraordinary. I think the thing that can't be understated is how well the energy industries cope with this crisis. The way that physical supplies have been rerouted, the right wells have been closed, the right refineries have been kept ticking over. Operationally, this has gone incredibly well. And that's down to, the deployment of technology, but also maybe we had a trial run in COVID. We've had other kind of events which have kind of helped with that. Longer term, it's hard to say. So if we have a full durable peace in the region and the Straits of Hormuz are fully open, then will we forget? Will we move past this? To some extent, probably we will. I think one of the phrases I've heard from a number of clients, though, is that maybe the era of just-in-time supply chains has finished. I know the phrase I keep hearing is just-in-case supply chains. So people are going to prize optionality. And I think you're going to start to see optionality of supply, optionality in energy sources. These are going to be really interesting things in terms of the way the world remembers this. You can't understate the role that Brazil plays in the iron ore trade and probably increasingly in copper. I think the interesting story that probably hasn't hit the press is actually clean energy, the biofuels, ethanol, even the hydrogen production. There's a deal between Brazil and Rotterdam on supply of green hydrogen. So I think certainly our clients are waking up to the opportunity around Brazil. We're increasingly picking that up from US clients as they start to look again at diversity of supply. The interesting thing, I think, for me will be how this Gulf crisis plays out, but then secondly, how this trade deal between the EU and Brazil plays out. I mean, it's an extraordinarily large number of consumers who come together. You know, it is an interesting development in a world where we've seen tariffs increasing, to see tariffs start to fall away and see what some of the opportunities are in there. We're definitely getting lots of questions. It's a super exciting time.